doesn't quite fit the character of the vehicle. Ladies and gents, today we have a modified automatic Toyota GR86. And we're not going to focus on the way the car looks with the decals and such. If that's your thing, awesome. If not, no worries. We're going to talk about how this car drives. Now, this is the Premium, and the owner has modified this with some ENKEI 18 by 9.5 wheels wrapped in PS4 rubber, section width of 245s. HKS HIPERMAX suspension designed specifically for the second gen, LEGAMAX exhaust, Canon intake, and an AERO kit with the splitter, the side skirts, diffuser, and of course, the big Wang gang. As for brake pads, we have STOPTECH Sports. This is actually my first time driving an automatic 8.6. I've only ever driven stick ones in the past. I'm gonna turn traction off. What I'm curious to see today is, number one, how do these modifications change the way the car drives? And secondly, how is the automatic in a GR86? This goes into manual mode, or manual shifting mode, I should say. So first impressions with the aftermarket suspension, definitely cornering a lot flatter. We have better body control than stock. Although the steering also feels a little bit more numb, and I wonder if that's because of the PS4s or if because they're stretched. I haven't really driven vehicles that have stretched tires, and this isn't super stretched, but I wonder if that also influences the steering feel. I'm sure it does. A lot of blind corners on this road. So the upshifts in this torque converter automatic are decently quick, but the downshifts do feel a little bit lazy. Also in a manual, there's times when maybe I would want to try double clutching into first, but this doesn't want to let me go into first at all. Nice grabby brakes, very easy to modulate, very natural. As soon as you hop in the car, you don't really need to learn the brakes. It just feels as you would expect, which you always got to appreciate. And from the reviews I've seen, a lot of people talk about how the automatic it's a good automatic and don't knock the car. I get that. It's a decent automatic. I mean, I guess maybe we're spoiled by BMW tuned ZF8 speeds and such as in the Supra. But when you're looking at a vehicle, you need to think about how does it behave as a cohesive package. And I feel like having a automatic transmission doesn't quite fit the character of the car, because it's trying to be a little bit more tossable, nimble, direct, engaging, raw. And here, it does leave something to be desired. I feel like I'm missing out on some level of the driving experience with the auto in this car. But I gotta say, this second gen is so much more powerful than the first. I did this road, last time I did this road was a few years ago in my FRS, and that thing felt so gutless. Even revving it out to redline, it felt like a chore. And now going uphill, it's not the fastest car in the world by any means, but I don't feel like it's tremendously lacking anymore. It feels balanced in that sense. You know, I actually do like this exhaust. It's not, it's sporty enough without being overbearing. And when we were driving it a little bit more subdued earlier, it doesn't seem to drone too bad either. Yeah, really enjoying the brakes though. They feel so natural. And the suspension, nice and flat, not overly stiff. The owner did a good job tuning this. Oh, there we go. Finally, a little bit of rotation right there on throttle. Yeah, there we go. That's why I love this car. It's just so easy to dance and play with, even in stock form. Now, one thing that I immediately noticed is, compared to mine, I have a base GR86, is that the Alcantara on the interior definitely feels way more premium. It feels like a higher class of vehicle, just with a little touch right here and on the sides and on the seats. It really brings the experience together in a sporty, tasteful way, and doesn't feel as budget. And if I could have found a premium GR86, I definitely would have gone that route. Can't really comment on the AERO. We're going pretty slow, so the AERO is not going to really be making much of a difference to the handling characteristics. You know, cornering at 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour. And that front end in these vehicles, they have such a fast steering ratio that when you're driving on the highway, it can feel twitchy, but on a mountain road like this, the front end just feels so sharp. It feels so tight. That's accentuated with the suspension changes. Super direct. You can place it perfectly. Although, again, I do wish I had a little bit more feedback. Now, going back to the whole automatic versus manual debate, I think a lot of people will give reasons for wanting the automatic, and a big one that comes up is, you know, commuting in traffic. Look, if you want to get an automatic, totally up to you. No judgment, right? And some people have very legitimate reasons. They have, like, you know, a bad left knee, or, you know, some issues, and I totally get that. Again, no judgment. But if the reason you're not getting a manual is because you don't know how, or you think that there's a lot of traffic and it's going to be a chore, I would urge you to reconsider, because there is an element of the driving experience that you miss out on, especially in a vehicle like this. It's going to getting this with an automatic is kind of like going to a steakhouse and getting a salad. It's not quite fitting the character. You're not really aligning the experience in the way that it was designed, in the purpose that it was built. Now, if you're getting a hypercar, or you're getting a 911 GT3, you know, I understand why you may want, you know, PDK, or you want to get a DCT. But in a vehicle like this, where the automatic isn't that great, you know, the shifts are a little bit lazy. It doesn't quite fit the character of the vehicle. If the shifts were sharper and faster, maybe it would feel fine. But right now, it definitely detracts from the experience. And, you know, in traffic, I drove my old FRS, and I actually removed the clutch helper spring because I wanted better feel of the clutch engagement point. So the clutch was heavier than stock, and even driving in traffic, it's not really a big deal. You get used to it. You learn how to drive manual in various conditions. And if you don't know how to drive manual, then we have a whole series, right now it's 4 videos long, that goes A to Z, from the most basic beginner, how to start, to double clutch, heel toe, and everything between. But if you remove that from the equation, fundamentally under the skin, this vehicle is still such a joy to drive. It feels like a natural extension of you, and that's why it really makes sense when people compare this to the poor man's Cayman, because the Cayman is also very much an extension of you. It's very natural. It's very much one-to-one with your input to the output, and this vehicle is the same. This vehicle is very much the same. I'm gonna stick this back into auto, and the shift logic when you go into sport mode is actually not bad. It's a lot better about holding gears and downshifting for you. Like that, see? Automatic downshift. I gotta say, for the price point, the paddles, they're not bad. You know, you're not expecting super high quality metal paddles, but considering the other paddles I've used recently, even looking at an Audi R8 Spider, which had plastic paddles, coming to this car now, I'm like, oh, this is actually, these are nice. The throws may be a little bit longer than I would like, and the engagement isn't the sharpest with the actual, you know, the clicks are, they're not loose, they're not bad, but, you know, it's a bit typical. It's a bit pedestrian, if you will. Now, on these 245 section with PS4s, it's actually, and with suspension changes, it's not as playful as a stock GR86 or as my GR86, and it feels more planted. So depending on what you're looking for in the vehicle, I see why someone would want this, because it gives you more confidence in the corners. But on the other hand, I also see why someone would actually want a little more playfulness, a little more tossability to the vehicle. Overall, the two major changes to the driving experience, brake pads and suspension, and I am actually enjoying both quite a bit. I think that the suspension, it's feeling sporty and tight without being too rough on pavement, and this is not the smoothest road. We haven't had any crazy bumps, but I'm feeling the texture of the road through the chassis without it being uncomfortable. There's definitely what you want in a car like this, in a driving experience like this. But my friends, let me know what you think with a comment down below. If you want your car reviewed, visit us on JubbalOnCars.com, fill out the form. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you all in that next one.